And welcome back. This is Fearless Anderson running some Division 2 for you. All right, I had a few viewers reach out to me through instant message, or digital messaging chats and things from YouTube to Facebook, asking me about returning users and best overall builds that I use to constantly not die all the time. So here it is. I've got two builds that I'm going to show you and let you decide based off of your experience and playing with them. Now, mind you, all of my builds are approaching or at plus 30 expertise, and we'll talk about that at the end. All right, so here's the first build I'm going to talk about is my Stryker build, okay? And it's because it's fun. All right, so the Stryker build works in this way. All right, you need a minimum of 4 pieces of a named set to activate the full power of your armor set. So with Strikers, I went with the mask, the backpack, the gloves, and the knee pads. Okay, and here's why. You start looking at those core attributes, and you can play with them on your table, both recalibrating and maximizing or optimizing. So what I have done is I optimized the weapon damage and recalibrated the to give myself critical hit chance on the mask. Did the same with the backpack. Okay, you'll notice weapon damage and critical hit damage. Okay, now the reason for this though is called risk management. Okay. Increases total weapon damage gained per stack on Striker's Gamble from 65 to 90%. Okay, and it requires the Striker's Gamble. Now, the thing about that, Striker's Gamble is the chest piece or the mask or the gloves. But you need all 4 of those activated for the backpack to really work. All right, because otherwise you're just not going to see as much. Okay, so risk management helps you with that total weapon damage per stack. You need that, and it's more important than the chest piece, because you'll see some people running a different chest, they'll run the Striker's chest piece and not run the backpack. I go the opposite, and I'll show you why. All right, so we've got the crit hit damage, the weapon damage. I've maxed the expertise to plus 30, and that'll come with time. Once you fully optimize your table, you'll be able to donate your exotic components towards expertise on any weapon or armor piece. I've chosen to do a plus 30 full Stryker set. All right, so that means that all 4 pieces of my Stryker are at plus 30. All right, and here's where that starts to get interesting. All right, so with the core attributes on the knee pads, plus 15% weapon damage and the maxed out critical hit chance on the knee pads. Same with the gloves. Start to notice a pattern here. All right, your rate of fire and your stacks are going to be badass with those 4. Now, here comes the cornerstone of just about any of my armor sets. All right, and that's the equalizer chest piece. Equalizer chest piece is important only if you run it with the right holster. All right, now there are other pieces and other combinations. Again, this isn't for legendary solo, turn everything into liquid. This is for players who are interested in playing the game, feeling a sense of accomplishment on completing the missions and progressing. Okay, this is a good all-around build for players who are just getting back into things. You want to start playing around and learning how to be the world's greatest sniper with the unbreakable and all that crazy shit, go for it. That's not what we're here for today. All right, so the equalizer works like this, okay? It's a unit alloys, and with 2 pieces, it ups your rate of fire and increases your assault rifle damage, the AR damage, okay? So look at that core attribute of 15%. So that's a lot of extra weapon damage between what you've already seen on my Stryker and what's on the chest piece. It's also been maxed out at plus 30 armor. Next, take a look at the regular attributes. Okay, I intentionally kept an armor regen as part of it. You'll see a lot of people who get rid of anything but red. I like a little bit of a cushion when it comes to my armor, and I like a nice little armor regen. All right, next you'll look at there as the critical hit damage and critical hit chance. All right, I maxed out the critical hit damage on with my table at 12%. And then I put in the highest mod I have. I don't have a fully maxed out mod for critical hit chance available for this piece. But that's okay, because I have enough critical hit chance between all of my armor pieces and my weapon and the holster that you're about to see, that it bumps up my percentage high enough to really take advantage of perfect obliterate. All right, so critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 24 times. So you get that perfect obliterate to activate, and you're going to be hitting it a lot harder, a lot faster, and it's going to be a lot deader immediately. So more lead downrange equals good. All right, so here's the salvo. All right, the salvo is another unit alloys. It's one of my favorite holsters, and here's why. All right, so you get your core attribute of weapon damage totally maxed out. I put in the plus 30 expertise, but it's that rate of fire and crit hit chance. Because remember, the more you've already got an increased rate of fire, and you've got an increased assault rifle damage of plus 20% already. All right, that's pretty dope. So you add that critical hit chance, and what it really does is starts to engage this perfect obliterate. Okay, the more critical hits you take on an opponent, the higher your stacks, the stronger you're hitting with every bullet, and that is exponential. All right, so keep that in mind. Now, I know it says AR, but I'm going to show you what it can do with a maxed out pestilence first, because this tends to be the go-to and one of the first exotics that people really fall in love with, and for good reason. The Plague of the Outcasts is awesome. So what it does is hits apply a debuff, dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds, stacks up to 50 times. So that's a ton. That's 50% times 100%. You do the math, okay? Whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, 100% of the stacks are transferred to a nearby enemy within 25 meters. Great for crowd control, great for firing out of cover without aiming, but more importantly is that continual spread. Now, before they nerfed this a few months ago, I was able to use the pestilence in the tower, the ascent, and I could wipe out entire rooms in seconds with it, and it would carry over into floors above you, things like that. They've nerfed that a little bit, so the 25 meters seems like it was a little further away before. But here's the important thing you need to understand about this armor set. It's all about the stacks. So you need a good shotgun to help build up those stacks immediately, because shotguns, you're hitting with multiple pellets. All right, so you want I'll show you how that works in just a sec. Okay, so, and here's the other thing, is you've got the rugged mini reflex sight on the shotgun for that extra critical hit chance, and the laser pointer for extra critical hit chance. So that's an extra 10% critical hit chance on top of what's running on my armor set. So let's see. Okay, so here's the shotgun. Oh, wrong weapon. There we go. I don't know what was going on there. All right, so watch down low. We'll let that completely reset itself, and there we go. All right, so it takes a while for the stacks to drop down. Stacks are high enough. Now you're doing some serious damage. All right, so DPS, almost 2 million with one shot. 2 million, 2 million. All right, you keep those stacks up, you're already doing, if you're doing 2 million, you're doing enough damage to take out just about anything. All right, but you'll notice with the pestilence, it starts to spread. All right, so you get the idea. Now let's switch over to a different weapon. All right, the reason why the AR St. Elmo's does so well is not only are you getting electrical damage with after a certain time, here's the thing. Building up your stacks, all right? Nope, that wasn't what I was trying to do, but okay. All right, so let's build up our stacks. All right, pay attention to that fist down low and the green box right there. DPS of 2.423 million. All right, that's all it takes. You get enough of that, 2.6. I mean, seriously, the last hit was 529,000 damage. Okay, so it really does pack a punch, and frankly, it takes down just about anything pretty quickly. Now, the reason why I've paid attention to some of my armor is that it's important to have a little bit of a cushion between you and your enemies. All right, so sometimes I'll run an armor on kill, like this one, fully maxed out. Just gives you just enough to help absorb the hits. All right, and that's for you gun runners who like to go Leroy Jenkins out there and take on face-to-face enemies. All right, so it works. It does pretty well, and I'll take you to a mission and show you both in just a second. Next armor set is tipping scales, okay? And this is where it starts to really matter. All right, I think this is it. Let's find out. Yes, my tipping scales. All right, you'll notice they're also plus 30, but that's going to take you some time. But I promise you, even at regular, it's worth running. All right, so tipping scales works very similar to your Stryker build, okay? All four pieces to do the full throttle control. Shooting builds stacks to a maximum of 50. Each stack provides 0.5% weapon damage, weapon handling, and that 4% critical hit damage. Now there is a tick where you lose if you lose your stacks if you're not shooting, but again, this is a shooting game. You're going to be shooting. It just means that you won't keep it for the duration of your mission, unless you're doing something that requires no ammo and has an easy refill rate. And we'll talk about that in a second. All right, so you've got that. You've got your backpack, which has throttle control built into it as well, building up those stacks. Okay, so this one has the snowball, which increases the critical hit damage received per stack from 4 to 7. Just like with the Stryker build, you have to have a minimum of 4 to access the extra talent on the backpack. So instead of per stack from 4, it takes you 7. You're getting more critical hit damage with each stack. Okay, which adds up. Trust me. All right, still have that weapon damage and the critical hit damage right there. Take a look at the gloves, same idea. Got the throttle control, got that crit hit chance and weapon damage. Because again, you need each stack providing more critical hit damage. The more critical hits you're hitting, the stronger you're at, the faster they go boom and go dead. All right, and then of course there's the knee pads, same idea. All right, and I'm still building up my knee pads. I still haven't quite gotten everything up to plus 30. We've got 24, 21. I'm working on it, slowly but surely. cornerstone of my armor set, of course, is still the equalizer because of that critical hit. So with each critical hit, it increases that damage, making you a walking machine gun of doom, no matter what you're running. All right, so here's the thing. With you'll notice with tipping scales, it's an LMG build as opposed to the AR. All right, so with you do get some AR bonus from this. It really comes down. The reason that they push the LMG is the total hits, keeping your stacks up. But with the right LMG or the right AR, you're going to keep those stacks anyway. All right. So we'll start off by looking at it with your machine gun. Build those stacks up. All right, 300,000 plus damage. The more you shoot, the stronger you get. It works. So you see how that goes. There you go. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you start realizing that 100% of those damages also get passed around, you start doing some serious damage. So it is an LMG-based armor set in part, but let's go ahead and switch over to the St. Elmo's, and you'll see how it's just as effective. Once you have the stacks up, it works pretty nicely. The last damage, look at that, 268. And the more you build those stacks, the better. All right, so there is my tipping scales. I like it, and they work well for me. Now remember, this is not designed to make you Arnold Schwarzenegger commando style, taking on all legendary, etc. This was in response to requests from players who were coming back to the game or new to the game who wanted a good, versatile armor set that can carry them through most missions without having to rely on help. Now, with that in mind, I always carry my Revive Hive, and I am slowly building it up to the maximum range just for fun, just to see what that looks like. But it auto drops, so the range really doesn't matter. And then, of course, is my fixer drone. I like it because if you're sitting stationary, firing blindly or aiming, as long as you're stationary, it will repair your armor. All right, very important in some of these games. All right, so that is the Stryker build and the tipping scales. All right, now without going into too much further detail, the right weapon set are vital as well. Keep that in mind. I run mostly the St. Elmo's or the Pestilence, and I always have my rock and roll on me. That all adds up to being one badass motherfucker. So let's go see it in action, shall we? We need to take something back, so might as well. Ooh. Let's see. We'll play a simple mission, and they're coming here, so why not? Let's go stop those assholes. All right. So give you a chance to see what the tipping scales can do versus the Stryker build, and let you decide. If you have any questions about how I've set up my armor sets a little deeper, let me know. Always happy to help. Okay. Okay, so that was basic tipping scales. Let's see if we can find a nice little place to practice. Why not? We'll start at DUA just for fun. I just didn't want those assholes taking my control point. All right, so we'll start with, I'm going to switch over to my Stryker build, give you a good introduction to how quickly those DPS rounds can really add up. All right. I think it is this one, I believe. Yes. All right. So pay attention to those stacks. Oops. Amateur mistake. Forgot to start the mission. All right. Just challenging, not, we'll do heroic. Because if it works on heroic, it'll definitely work on challenging.
This is a chance to wipe out the hyena leadership in one decisive blow. Get in there and hunt them down.
Build up the stacks. More stacks, the more better. I know there are baddies here somewhere. Oh, there's a sniper here somewhere. Not seeing him. And that is why I carry the fixer drone. Where the hell? There he is. Ow. There you go. Enough bullets into the bad guys, it's going to fix your problem pretty quickly. All right, we'll push into the next room just to give you a real good feel for how slow those ticks really move downward. You'll notice I'm still packing them. And those ticks build up pretty quickly. Come here. All right. So now you get to see it with Pestilence. And you see that sniper didn't stand a chance. All right, so let's go ahead and switch it over. Yep, there's my tipping scales. All right, I'm going to start with the Pestilence, and we'll go from there. There you go. Those stacks go a lot faster. Slower reload with the LMG. And there you go. Now, the way I did that was I shot the Chungus and built up the stacks of Pestilence so that when he died, it took all of that damage and immediately applied it to the son of a bitch right next to him. So there you go. In a nutshell, Stryker versus tipping scales. That's a personal choice. I'm going to continue building mine up and leveling it up to plus 30. Once that happens, we'll have a better idea. All right, so how do you do that? Some of you have asked, and this will be my last little bit for this stream. All right, so when you're in your inventory, hit that tinkering station. It's the touchpad, right? And you'll notice you see these four things. Now, your expertise table is only so good as your library and tinkering. Okay, so your library, you're going to be donating bits and bobs from different weapons, and you want to make sure everything in your library gets maxed. So before you grind those extra rifles, make sure that it can't be donated to one of the areas in your tinkering station. All right, for this one, it is simply a weapon I happen to have. There we go. Extractions available. Okay, it's from the AKM. But this enables you to switch out a lot of those abilities in your tinker table. Okay, so with all of these things more completely modded up and completely donated to, the more skills that you can switch in your tinkering table. All right, and those are the big things that you'll be able to play around with. But once you've filled up your library with skills and abilities and all the goodies fully maxed out and researched, your expertise is where it matters most. All right, so with here, you can max out using resources on up to your maximum count. After that, and you hit, I believe it was level 30 that allows you to start doing this, then you can add to weapon damage or armor expert capabilities once you have enough components and exotic components and pieces. It gets pretty expensive though, I'm not going to lie. Like right now, I am one exotic component short from being able to do that. So let me check to see. I think I have. Oh, there we go. Open the cache. Ridgeway's Pride, don't need it, so I'm good there. Ooh, and there's that Birdie Quick Fix pack that a lot of you are asking about. It can randomly drop from your season caches, so keep that in mind. No. Open cache, again, another, nice. Okay, add to inventory. Lefty is also a good shotgun, keep that in mind. All right, so I've got a few good things. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here. I don't need any of the weapons that it dropped. So I'm going to go ahead and destroy those. And I know some of you are like, but I need that. Don't do that. I can't give it to you anyway, or I would. But I'm more than happy to run with you. So come on in, and if I catch an exotic I don't have, it's yours, my friend. All right, so here's the Birdie's Quick Fix pack. Super rare. It is lovely if you're playing a medic, okay? I'm going to go ahead and keep that one. I'm pretty sure I deleted my other one by accident. But let's take a look. Where was there we go. Ridgeway's Pride. It's decent, not my favorite. All right, and that's because you have to be up close and personal to apply bleed. Bleed is too slow. All right, so we've got all these great pieces. You'll notice that I'm still building up the Reficare. So I've marked it as trash because I have extras, and it's got a yellow core I don't want. I'm going to go with the red core because I like crit hit. So I've marked them all as trash. I open it up and I go to my expertise table, and the first thing I do is donate all junk. All right, and then what it does is that will apply any of those extra items directly towards leveling up or improving the expertise on those items that I had duplicates of that needed to be leveled up. All right, you only have to do it once, but I like to do it a couple times just to make sure. Next, after I do that, then I deconstruct whatever junk didn't get donated. All right, and that's how I ended up with exotic components, da-da-da-da-da. So there's a rush on how to use your expertise table. All right, so let's cruise on back down there now that I've got enough exotic components to level something up. All right, so I'm going to be looking at, let's see, the next closest to 30 is my glued gloves. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down the X, and you'll notice down in the lower right for the upgrade information, it's going to add 1% armor. 1% is a lot. There you go. Now it's at level 25. I'm going to keep doing this until it's level 30 and do it for the other two pieces as well. And it is a slow process, but trust me, it is worthwhile. So that is an extra percentage of armor. So when you start looking at a plus 30%, that's plus 30% armor for each armor piece. It doesn't automatically reflect on that left-hand side. That 916.7K armor is misleading. Okay, because what that does is that's your base level armor at maximum proficiency prior to the extra. So 916.7K armor, it really isn't a lot until you start going, okay, but that's an extra 30%, an extra 30%, an extra, 30, 60, 90. You start to add up those percentages and wow, now you realize how much extra armor you really have. So if you inspect that character, and I look pretty dope. That wasn't what I was looking for. So yeah, look at your PvP stats, all that good stuff. You're doing pretty good. You're doing a pretty good job. All right, so keep that in mind as you move forward. Hit me up if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Need someone to run with? Add me on here. My PSN name is the same as my YouTube. Come at me, Fearless Anderson. Out.